Part 68. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 672. The following are the scandals of 78 American dignitaries. The first one, Congressman Tom Hilton. In May 2022, he deceived donors, stole fundraising funds without authorization to pay for personal expenses, and engaged in fraudulent business activities. The second one. The president knew very well the authenticity of the events in the document. Their government paid a great price to cover up these scandals. And the last two, one is the vice president and the other is the president himself. The president snapped the document shut. How did the other party notice it? What is the other party's purpose? The president's sharp eyes swept over the assistant standing in front of him with his hands hanging down. How many people have seen this document? The president asked. There were only the clerk who checked the documents, and me, the assistant said, and then he added cautiously, the clerk only read a few lines on the first page, and I read 2 pages. The clerk is still under guard and sitting in my office. He will not contact anyone. The president stared at the assistant for a while, patted the document on his palm, and said slowly, if any of the content on the document is leaked. The president did not continue, but looked at the assistant meaningfully. The assistant wiped the sweat off his forehead. Sir, I don't think anyone will tell anyone. And we don't know the contents of the document. The president then turned to the back and continued reading. I can remain silent about the above. But if I want to remain silent, 2 conditions must be met. The first condition, in the name of the government, accept all members of the H Rangers kept by the Joyce family, a total of 78 members. The handover procedures must be completed within 1 month. After the handover is completed, each member of the H Rangers must be given the right to choose, 1. Continue to stay in the government to provide services. 2. Retire freely. In the future, the government cannot disturb any of them in any form. The president's face was very ugly. Who is the other party? How did he know that the government coveted the H Rangers? In the H Rangers, everyone is an elite talent, it's hard to find. This kind of elite cannot be cultivated by just spending money, it takes time and luck. What's more, the Joyce family has its own way of training special elites. The H Rangers is a powerful weapon, a killer weapon. If this weapon is in the hands of the government, it will definitely be able to do a lot. God knows how many people want to make trouble with America. The other side actually wants such a group of elites to retire? The president's fingers involuntarily clenched the documents. The person who sent the documents was probably Amos's people, right? If the H Rangers are really set free, then the H Rangers must be able to assist Amos in making a comeback. This Amos has caused such a big mess for himself, and now he dares to threaten him? The president's forehead was throbbing with veins. He forced himself to endure his unhappiness and continued to look through the documents. He wanted to see what the second condition that person offered was. Second condition, Amos has another team, codenamed Sheepdog. The attachment has a detailed list. Every sheepdog mentioned on the list must be put in prison. All of them have committed crimes worthy of being shot. Unfortunately, the United States has abolished the death penalty. Put them in the most secure prisons and prohibit any form of commutation until they die in prison. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 673. I will keep an eye on you. If any member of the H Rangers encounters an accident and does not live according to his own wishes, at the same time, if any sheepdog is released, I will randomly select a senior official's ugly crime to be announced. Amos Joyce is the first one. You saw his end. If the credibility of the American government collectively declines, think about whether you can bear such consequences. The president put down the documents. He walked to the desk and picked up the phone. Now let someone check the surveillance of the X-Route post office within 48 hours. I want to know who sent the email with the file number ER8681XXXX. Half an hour later. Report to the president, the other party said in a surprised and solemn tone, you may not believe it when I tell you, but to be honest, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it either. No one mailed this email. The president's pen made a deep mark on the paper. I don't understand what you are talking about. I sent the surveillance video to your mailbox. The email was automatically printed out by the post office printer. The office clerk received a call on the landline, and the postmaster called on the internal line. On the phone, the leader ordered the clerk to take the file from the printer and mail it to the White House. The president raised his voice, that's the information mailed by the postmaster. No, Mr. President, please listen to me, the other party said. The postmaster was in a federal government meeting at the time, and dozens of people testified. You confused me, can you explain it? The president snapped the ink-stained document. The other party is a very powerful character. He tampered with the telephone line, making the clerk think that the call she received was from the director's office, and the voice of the other party was also the director's voice. It may be artificial imitation, or it may be artificial intelligence simulation. Our people tried their best, but there was no way to trace it back. The president understood at this moment. He had no choice except accepting the other party's request. Asterisk. I used some things to exchange the freedom of the team members and sent the sheepdog to prison on the phone. Chen-Ling did not explain too much to Alexei. What is so powerful? Alexei's eyes lit up. Big sister, why don't you just take the opportunity to ask them for more things? Chen-Ling closed her eyes and let her eyeballs move in her eye sockets to rest the muscles under the eyes. This is a good way to maintain excellent vision. The chips in my hand are only enough to exchange for these two things. People should not be too greedy. Miss Along, who had been driving quietly, suddenly spoke up and interrupted Chen-Ling. Along always knows the rules and will never call her when Chen-Ling is on the phone. There must be something wrong. Chen-Ling opened her eyes and pretended to look out the window. With just one glance, she said to Alexei on the other end of the phone, okay, I have something else to do. You, just stay at school and teach the children. Don't do anything extra, and don't think too much. Do you hear me? Alexei keenly noticed the change in Chen-Ling's tone. She immediately asked, Big sister, are you in trouble? Where are you? I heard the voice of your driver Along. Are you on the way? Don't do anything extra, Chen-Ling interrupted her and emphasized again, remember, protect yourself, this is an order, do you hear me? Big. I said, this is an order. Yes, Alexei said. Chen-Ling chuckled, so good. Then, regardless of Alexei's questioning, Chen-Ling hung up the phone directly. Aaron then began to explain, Miss, those people are following us again. In addition, just a while ago, several trucks passed by us, and I also felt something was wrong. When a driver overtook, he drove side by side with our car for a while. He also frequently looked at you in the back compartment, as if to confirm whether you were in the car. Next to the black car following us, there were also several suspicious trucks. Keep driving, ignore it, she said. Chen-Ling didn't even raise her head, keeping the posture of looking at her phone, her fingers flexibly operating on the phone. She was completely clearing the special information and people in her phone. She wanted to make sure that no matter who got her phone, they would not discover her secrets. Is it really okay? Aaron asked with some concern. They are following very closely, and there are a lot of people this time. Should we call the police? Chen-Ling dealt with the phone. Her phone was now just an ordinary girl's phone. She threw the phone into her bag, raised her head and smiled at Along. Along, do you trust me? Along said without hesitation, Miss, I trust you with my life. Then listen to me, after they force us to stop, you symbolically resist twice, and then cooperate with them. They should knock you out, they won't hurt your life. Miss, Along was anxious. My goal is to be taken away by them. It's a secret, so I can't tell you too much. I hope you believe me, I will definitely protect myself. If you resist, I will also protect your life safety, but it will ruin my plan. Chen Ling looked at the rearview mirror and met Along's eyes. She smiled easily and said, what you can do for me is to protect yourself. At this time, Chen Ling and her friend's car was surrounded by cars in front, behind, and on both sides. The other party was serious and had prepared in advance. They were determined to win today. Not to mention a few people, even if there were twice as many, Chen Ling would be sure to take Along away safely, but today, she was going to surrender and fall into the trap. Just now, her mother sent a WeChat message to ask Chen Ling when she would be home, and she prepared hot pork rib soup at home. It seems that there will be no pork rib soup today. Chen Ling thought sadly. Go back and tell my family that I will be fine, Chen Ling said to Along, wait for me to come home. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 674. Alexei put down the phone and became more worried as he thought about it. After walking around her room several times, she called Cheng Zai. After the servant answered the phone, he handed it to Cheng's mother. Auntie, it's me, Sci-fi, Alexei called sweetly. Sci-fi. It's so late, why did you call? Are you calling for my Lingling? She went to shoot Gigi today and she hasn't come back yet. Cheng's mother said cheerfully. Oh, I haven't come back yet, I understand, Alexei said sweetly without showing any emotion. Auntie, why don't you go to your beauty sleep quickly? Staying up late will make you older. Go to sleep now, Mother Cheng said. If you have something urgent, just call her. Her mobile phone is usually kept by her manager Wang Zhen, and Wang Zhen will convey it to you. Okay, I understand, thank you, Auntie, Alexei said, then I'll hang up. Good night. Alexei hung up the phone and frowned. She didn't dare to call the eldest sister for fear of getting her into trouble. After hesitating for a moment, she looked through her address book again, found Zhang Zhenqiu's mobile phone number, and clicked to call. After a while, the phone was picked up. Xiao Sai, it's so late, what's wrong? Zhang Zhenqiu's slightly kind voice came. Uncle Zhang, can you please speak? Alexei asked. Yeah. Just tell me. Eldest sister may be in danger, Alexei said straight to the point. Zhang Zhenqiu looked at the real-time monitoring screen of the road in front of him. 6 trucks, 1 at the front and 2 at the left, surrounded the car Chen Ling was riding in. Zhang Zhenqiu said, we already know about this. How about you, how did you know? Uncle Zhang already knows. It means Alexei tightened his grip on his phone that the eldest sister is indeed doing something dangerous. The eldest sister had been doing dangerous things the whole previous year, but this time it was different. The eldest sister's tone is different from before. This shows that the eldest sister is not absolutely sure about what she is about to risk. The risk factor is not low. Alexei bit his lip. I was just talking to my eldest sister on the phone, and she suddenly wanted to hang up. She also told me not to do unnecessary things and not to think too much. Zhang Zhenqiu said, then do as she asks. She has her arrangements, and we should trust her, right? Alexei actually heard a hint of worry in Zhang Zhenqiu's rhetorical question. Uncle Zhang is worried too. Sister, what on earth are you doing? You just have to tell me who her enemy is, okay? Alexei pleaded. Is it the Freemasons? Zhang Zhenqiu said nothing. It was equivalent to acquiescing to Alexei's guess. Freemasonry. Alexei's heart sank. This is really the style of a big sister. She either doesn't move, or if she moves, it's definitely a big move. She never bothered to deal with small characters, but went straight into the dragon's pool and the tiger's den to start a war with the opponent's upper echelons. We should believe her. She has never made any wrong judgment. Zhang Zhenqiu said, luck has always been by her side. I think it will be the same this time. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Zhenqiu and several people from the security bureau continued to watch the surveillance in silence. The video showed that just now, the truck convoy finally succeeded in forcing Chen Ling's car to stop. A group of people wearing black hoods and holding iron poles got out of the car. The car window was smashed and Chen Ling's driver was dragged out. The driver resisted. When his resistance failed, he fainted after his mouth and nose were covered with a large piece of cloth. Was thrown to the side of the road. Chen Ling, who was in the back row, was making a call to the police when the other party roughly snatched Chen Ling's phone away and smashed it to the ground, smashing it into pieces. Chen Ling was dragged out by them, much more gently than the tow driver. Then, they followed the same pattern and knocked Chen Ling unconscious. Big guys in hoodies give a thumbs up, a gesture used to signal success. Then, a certain person carried the limp Chen Ling into the carriage of a certain truck. After locking the door, the convoy drove away. Chief, now is the last chance to rescue 908. The people around Zhang Zhenqiu asked with a slightly anxious tone, are we sure we won't do anything? Zhang Zhenqiu was struggling in his heart. But he had to make up his mind. No. He said at last. Find a way to let all parties pass. He continued to give instructions, but we can't let the other party find out that we are giving them the green light. Yes. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 675. Just as the subordinate was about to leave, Zhang Zhenqiu called him. Wait. The subordinate immediately trotted over. Chief? Have you decided to rescue her? Zhang Zhenqiu has made many difficult decisions in his life. Agreeing to his wife to go back as a war correspondent is one. And at this moment, he made another very difficult decision. No, Zhang Zhenqiu said, it can't be too unimpeded. Try to check once or twice, but don't be too serious when checking. If you give the green light completely, the other party may also be suspicious. Yes, the subordinate saluted and turned to leave. Zhang Zhenqiu stared at the truck that was getting smaller and smaller on the screen, and prayed silently in his heart, Chen Ling is a lucky person, I hope everything goes well for her and she returns safely as soon as possible. Asterisk. The truck compartment was bumpy. Chen Ling closed her eyes and did not move. She was feeling the surrounding environment. They gave themselves a heavy dose of anesthesia, but Chen Ling held her breath as the cloth with anesthesia pressed over her. Her lung capacity was already very high after training, and she easily deceived them with her excellent acting skills. They really thought Chen Ling had fainted. Chen Ling relaxed her body and let the other party do whatever they wanted. Although the dosage of the drug was very high, they sealed her mouth with tape and tied her hands with ropes for safety. The other party was quite sympathetic and gently put Chen Ling into a large cardboard box in the truck compartment. The bottom of the cardboard box was covered with a moisture-proof mat, and there was a layer of chemical fiber carpet on the mat. This caused static electricity in her hair and made it stick to the carpet, which was not very comfortable. In addition, the other party also covered her with several layers of thick quilts, which was not too cold. Chen Ling could easily get rid of the clamp, but she remained in her original state. The carriage was filled with the sweet smell of pears and the sour smell of hawthorn. It seemed that this was a freight truck, carrying pears and hawthorns produced in the north and selling them in the southern market. According to Chen Ling's judgment, this heavyweight agricultural truck can go through the Green Channel, saving a lot of inspections and fees, and saving a lot of time. The box where Chen Ling was hiding was at the innermost part of the carriage. There were large boxes piled up above, below, and on both sides of her. Unless the entire truck was unloaded, no one would know that there was a living person hiding in the box. After an unknown amount of time, the car stopped. Chen Ling guessed that it should be a routine inspection at the highway checkpoint. Sure enough, there was a voice outside the car. Where did the car leave from? Jinzhou, someone answered with a thick northeastern accent. What's on the car? Someone asked. It's agricultural products, pears and hawthorns from our northeast, sweet and sour, southerners love to eat them. Open the carriage and let me see. Okay. Then, the iron bolt on the carriage door rang, and after turning a circle, the carriage door opened. The sound of the conversation became very clear at this time. Someone jumped onto the carriage, fiddled with the cardboard boxes outside the carriage, and shone a flashlight into the interior of the carriage. He found nothing unusual, then jumped off the carriage and said, "Okay, no problem. Close it." "Okay, comrade, it's hard for you to stand here in the middle of the night. Here's a bag of pears for you to try. They're really delicious," said the man with a northeastern accent, taking out a plastic bag from the carriage and closing the door of the truck compartment. "I don't want it. We have regulations," the man politely refused, and then gave a few instructions. "It's dark on the road, drive alert, and don't fall asleep. If you're tired, rest at the rest stop, don't show off. Making money is important, but having a life to spend it is more important." "Of course, thank you, comrade. Okay, let's go." Not long after, the car started again and the carriage began to shake. Chen Ling quietly moved her limbs and changed to a more comfortable position. Then she turned her tongue and moved the mini syringe under her tongue to the other side. This thing always stayed under the root of her tongue on one side, which was uncomfortable. The syringe was filled with powerful adrenaline. At a critical moment, she could inject the adrenaline in the syringe into her body and force out all her potential. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 676. Chen Ling thought, they will most likely choose to send her out by water. The luxury ferry that shuttles between Asian port cities is a good choice. The nearest port city is Jinchi, but the security check at Jinchi's dock is very strict. They will definitely reduce the risk as much as possible. Then they can only go further south along the coastline. The next port city is Yishi. Chen Ling sketched out the high-speed route map from Fengcheng to Yishi in his mind. At the current speed of the truck, it will take at least 5 hours to reach Yishi. Then use this time to have a good sleep. Chen Ling was tired after shooting GG all day. Gurgle, the stomach called twice. Chen Ling felt his empty stomach and sighed silently. He should have eaten more snacks on the set earlier. Although there were delicious fruits around, she couldn't eat them. Chen Ling fell asleep with an aggrieved hungry stomach. As usual, she kept a nerve. The truck stopped twice on the way, both for routine inspections. The inspectors looked at the relevant documents and let it go. They didn't even open the carriage. Chen Ling didn't even bother to open her eyes, thinking, Uncle Zhang is still quite reliable. She was worried before that if the road was smooth, the people from the Heji society might feel something was wrong. The car shook again. Chen Ling continued to sleep peacefully. This sleep lasted a long time, and the car was not stopped again, until Chen Ling woke up from hunger. She sighed again. She really didn't like the feeling of being hungry. And her nose was filled with the smell of pears and hawthorns at this moment, which made her feel even hungrier. Chen Ling stared at the endless darkness, guessing where she was at the moment. Not long after, the car stopped. There was a lively sound outside. The quality of oysters has not been very good recently. It's too cold today. If it weren't for the kids wanting to eat crabs, I wouldn't want to leave the house at all. They spoke with a unique Yashi accent. It seemed that her inference was correct. At this time, she heard the sound of the truck's door bolt turning, and the door of the truck compartment was opened. Someone pushed himself and jumped into the compartment. The compartment was full of boxes, narrow and cramped. The man struggled to move between the gaps between the boxes. Finally, he stood outside the box where Chen Ling was and began to move the box on top. The box was opened, and a stream of cold air rushed into the nose. Chen Ling closed her eyes, her face was very peaceful. Then, a beam of light unique to the flashlight hit her face. The other party was staring at Chen Ling. Chen Ling's breathing was steady and long, her eyes and eyelids were all stable. The man closed the lid of the box with satisfaction. "Come up and help," the man shouted to the outside. Soon, Chen Ling felt her center of gravity rise. The box she was in was carried down by two people and placed on a cart specially used to transport large goods. At this time, the salty and humid air unique to the seaside rushed into Chen Ling's nostrils. After being locked in the cramped and stuffy rear compartment for so long, Chen Ling was refreshed by the smell of fresh air. She took a few quick breaths to expel the turbid air in her lungs. She felt someone stack two more boxes on the box she was in. Then, the wheels of the cart started to roll. Not long after, the cart stopped. "How is it, buddy, how many passengers are there on this ship?" Chen Ling heard the man with the northeastern accent she had heard before ask. "These passengers lying on the boat?" Chen Ling's ears moved. He guessed right again. They really used the sightseeing cruise to smuggle themselves out of China. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 677. There are not many passengers on this boat. After all, it is too cold, one person replied. After all, rich people are afraid of the cold. Afterwards, the two started talking about Xian Tian. It seems that these two people are old acquaintances. After a while, the man with the northeastern accent changed his voice. "I won't delay your work anymore. I got some new packs of good cigarettes here, foreign products. I'll give you 2 packs to try, brother." Then, there was the sound of rustling pockets. The person with the northeastern accent was rummaging through his pocket, and then put the cigarette he found into another person's hand. The other person declined. The man with the northeastern accent said, "Let me deliver this shipment. I also know where to deliver it, so don't worry about it, brother. Don't worry, I won't mess around. I know all the rules." Along the southeastern coast, there are many luxury cruise ship tour routes. These cruise ships usually sail at sea for at least 3 days. Some cruise ships need to dock at specific ports, allowing passengers on board to get some air on land and replenish supplies on board. According to the rules, people transporting goods are not allowed to board the ship. The items can be placed at the gangway of the cruise ship and waited for the crew to carry them. But it's not absolute. The decision rests with the crew manning the gangway. Apparently those packs of cigarettes worked. "Then move quickly and don't cause trouble for me," the crew member said. "Thank you, bro." The cart rolled again. This was how the Chen Ling brand supplies were delivered to the cruise ship without anyone noticing. The gangway under the wheel is made of wood. The cart made a crunching sound as it rolled over, and it was quite difficult to push. Chen Ling could hear the man breathing heavily. But a few dozen meters away, the crunching sound disappeared. The cart arrived on the deck of the cruise ship. The deck surface was smooth, making it much easier to push the cart, and the speed became faster. After a while, Chen Ling smelled the unique smell of the kitchen. Was she sent to the yacht's restaurant? I'm here to deliver fruit, the man with the northeastern accent said. Chen Ling heard someone reply solemnly, just give it to me. When this man spoke, his Mandarin was very clear and concise, but it seemed a little weird. The person with the northeastern accent has something to say. The top 2 floors are pears and hawthorns, and the bottom floor is wild ginseng. These are valuable goods. Please be sure to keep them safe, make sure they are correct. Don't forget to pay us the balance. We are a small family. I know, the man interrupted impatiently. I'm leaving. Then, the 2 boxes on top of her were unloaded. Someone opened the box she was in, leaving only a small crack. Chen Ling could feel the other person's eyes passing over her face. Soon, the man closed the box after checking it. The cart was pushed by someone again. This person's pace was faster than the previous one. Suddenly, Chen Ling felt her body tilt. The cart was going up a certain slope, then around the corner, her body straightened, and then tilted again. This was repeated 6 times, which meant that Chen Ling was pushed to the 3rd floor. The lowest level of a medium-sized sightseeing cruise ship is usually the staff's rooms, storage rooms, and workspaces. The 1st and 2nd underground floors are usually entertainment floors. The 1st floor is restaurants and bars, etc., and the top floor is an open platform for people to enjoy the ocean scenery. The middle floors are usually rooms for guests. Chen Ling was about to be sent to a guest's room on the 3rd floor. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 678. Chen Ling was sure that the big boss behind her would not wait for her in the room. The Heji society was very weak in China, and the big shots would not dare to take such a big risk. If there was a mistake in a certain link, it would be difficult for the big shots to get away. The cart was moving forward in the straight corridor, which was covered with carpets, absorbing most of the sound of the wheels rolling. The cart stopped. Knock knock. A question came from the room. Who is it? A woman asked in English. Her voice was very shrill. I am a crew member, and I am here to deliver valuable goods to the Honorable One, the man said in English. Obviously, his English is his native language. Although he speaks Mandarin very well, it feels stiff. And English is very natural. Please wait, the woman replied. Then, the door of the room was opened. The cart rolled. The door was closed. Just put it here, the woman said. Open it, I want to check the goods. The box was opened. The soft ceiling light sprinkled on Chen Ling's face. She was motionless, still in a sleeping state. She also carefully distinguished, in this room, besides her, there were 3 other breathing sounds. One of them had the unique smell of oil smoke of kitchen staff, and the other 2 had a faint smell of spices. It should be the smell of toiletries or body lotion. Another female voice that she had never heard before said, no problem, the same as the person in the photo. Her voice was relatively deep. The woman who opened the door said, put her in the bathtub in the bathroom. Okay, the crew member obeyed. He should be of lower status than the 2 women. Then, Chen Ling felt the smell of oil smoke approaching her. The man bent down and hugged her. This way, the woman commanded in front. Then, Chen Ling was ready to choke on the water, and the next moment, she was put into the smooth bathtub. There was no water in the bathtub. This is for you, the crew member said, and he added, the anesthetic should take 8 or 9 hours to wear off, but to avoid unexpected situations, you should keep a close eye on it. Well, there's nothing for you to do here, go ahead. The smell of oil smoke gradually faded away with the man's footsteps. Open the door, close the door. The man left. At this moment, only Chen Ling and 2 unidentified women were left in the room. Untie the ropes first, take off your clothes, and wash them well, the woman with a shrill voice said. The master doesn't like dirty things. Chen Ling felt someone untying the ropes on her hands and feet. Afterwards, her clothes were peeled off like peeling bamboo shoots, and the tape on her mouth was torn off. This was really painful, and the tape tore off a lot of sweat hair on her face. Chen Ling frowned. "Hey, be gentle," said the woman with a shrill voice. The two did not move for a long time, staring at Chen Ling together to see if she would wake up. Chen Ling's frowned eyebrows soon relaxed. They were relieved. "Take the shower, head down," the shrill-voiced woman said, but she quickly added, "Forget it, you're clumsy, let me do it. It'll be troublesome if you break the master's toy." The sound of the metal pipe of the shower being pulled out rang out in the room. The other party must be used to serving others, and even knew to adjust the shower temperature to the right level before aiming the shower head at Chen Ling, who was lying naked in the bathtub. The gentle water splashed on Chen Ling's head and body. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 679. After the body was completely wet by the water in the shower was turned off. The woman with the rough voice said, "Hey, the master's new toy looks quite iconic. When will something that doesn't look good catch the eyes of its owner?" said the woman with a high-pitched voice. "Damn, you look very thin, these two meatballs are so big." Then, Chen Ling felt a rough hand squeeze her chest hard. "Pa!" A crisp sound of slapping the back of the hand rang out in the room. The woman with the high-pitched voice said, "Be careful, if you leave any traces, the master will peel off your skin and feed it to the sea fish. Tisk. Just grab a handful, the master won't find out. It's not too late for you to play again when master has had enough." The woman with the high-pitched voice reminded, "There is surveillance in the outer room, how do you know there isn't one in the bathroom?" In the subsequent bathing session, the woman did not do anything excessive, but she touched a lot more unnecessary things. Chen Ling was like an unconscious rag doll, at their mercy, applying shower gel and shampoo. Rinse clean. Halfway through the wash, the hull shook. Set sail. After her whole body was washed, she was helped up from the bathtub. They worked together to wrap a bath towel around her body, and then one person picked her up horizontally. This woman was not weak. Chen Ling could feel the other person staring at his face as he walked. The woman was breathing heavily. Then, she felt like she was being laid down on the sofa, with a bath towel spread on the sofa. The person put Chen Ling down, left for a moment, and then came back. She brought back the hair dryer, and then used it to blow Chen Ling's hair carefully. The other untied the bath towel and applied essential oil to Chen Ling's body. It was an essential oil with a strong floral fragrance. After the skin behind the ears, neck, shoulders, fingers, toes, and all over the body were covered with essential oil, the woman with the high-pitched voice breathed a sigh of relief. She put down the essential oil bottle, straightened up and said, "Okay. It's done, go get the scanner." The person who was drying his hair put down the hair dryer. Beep. The sound of a scanner opening. Chen Ling lay quietly. The syringe under her tongue was made of a special resin material and could not be picked up by ordinary scanners. The scanner is placed against the scalp, scanning inch by inch, all the way to the toes. Then go up from the toes to the scalp. The woman with a thin voice said with satisfaction, "It's clean, let's dress her." Chen Ling was helped to sit up, and she felt like she was being put on a slippery silk suspender skirt. Then, she was wrapped in a bath towel again, and the man carried her to the bed through the bath towel. Chen Ling guessed that they were afraid that their smell would get on Chen Ling. After Chen Ling was laid flat on the bed, she heard a strange metallic sound. Is this the sound of handcuffs? The next moment, there was a cold touch on her hands and feet, confirming her suspicion. There were 4 handcuffs at the head and end of the bed, cuffing her hands and feet respectively. Someone shook off the quilt and covered her. The woman with the thin voice said, "Go and do something with the clothes she took off." During the rest of the journey, the two women neither talked nor left, probably because they were afraid of the cameras in the room. Lying on the soft big bed, it was quite comfortable if you ignored the handcuffs on your hands and feet. It wasn't until room service delivered the meal to the room and the two women who were looking after her were chewing their lunch that Chen Ling felt the pain. The last time I had a meal seemed like a century ago. I'm really hungry. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 680. Listening to the two people eating, Chen Ling's mind floated a long list of delicious food. When she gets home, she will eat them one by one. She is simply the modern Little Red Riding Hood. Chen Ling thought aimlessly. At this time, she must relax herself. Whether it is the brain or the body, so that she can meet the challenges behind with the most full mental state. After the cruise ship sailed for a few hours, it stopped. Chen Ling heard the noise of people outside, the rolling of suitcases, and the farewell. It seems that the cruise ship has reached its destination. But the two guards did not move. Obviously, it is not time for Chen Ling to get off the ship yet. After about half an hour, the tourists and staff on the cruise ship left the cruise ship, and the cruise ship started again. After each service, the cruise ship must dock at the corresponding pier for inspection and maintenance, waiting for the next service. This cruise ship, however, has to send Chen Ling off before it can go to rest. Not long after the ship sailed, the two guards stood up. One of them pushed a wheelchair out of the house, and the other uncuffed Chen Ling. Before uncuffing her, they confirmed her condition again. Chen Ling's head was drooping weakly. Obviously she was not awake yet. The two of them worked together to put on a windbreaker, a fisherman's hat, and sunglasses for Chen Ling. Then they lifted Chen Ling and put her on the wheelchair, and then handcuffed Chen Ling's right hand to the armrest of the wheelchair. Even if the satellite took a picture of Chen Ling, her identity could not be confirmed. The cruise ship slowed down and finally stopped. They pushed Chen Ling and walked off the cruise ship. There was a thermostatic air conditioner in the room of the cruise ship, and the temperature could not be felt. It was not until Chen Ling was pushed out of the door that she felt the temperature change. The sea breeze here is mild, and the temperature is at least above 25 degrees. The unique smell of the tropical ocean is carried by the warm and humid sea breeze, drilling into the nostrils and into the chest. Thanks to the sunglasses, Chen Ling can squint and secretly look at the environment at the moment without worrying about being discovered. The third floor of the cruise ship has a good view, and she can see most of the island. The island in front of her is an inverted bowl. The top is full of tall trees, and a three-story building in Southeast Asian style is looming in the shadows of the trees. Not far from the small building, there is a watchtower at least 15 meters high. And one side of the island looks like it was cut neatly from top to bottom, revealing yellow rocks. From the time the cruise ship travels, the height of the sun at this moment, the temperature, the wind direction, and the characteristics of the vegetation distribution on the island in front of her, Chen Ling can basically judge that she should be on an island in country F at this moment. So far, everything is in her plan. This is exciting news. But Chen Ling did not relax her vigilance. The real challenge starts now. Every step forward is full of unknown dangers. Soon, the wheelchair was pushed onto the gangway of the cruise ship that was telescopic and placed on the island. Chen Ling noticed something strange. Not far away, a white transport speedboat was parked. The model of this transport speedboat is ETS-234, with a speed of about 20 knots, 1 knot equal 1.852 km per hour, and a full fuel range of 40 nautical miles, equivalent to 73 kilometers. Therefore, the visitors on the transport boat should have come from not far away. Chen Ling was pushed down the gangway. She realized that the guests of the transport boat were not welcome by the owner of the island. On the shore near the transport boat, there stood 3 men in black suits. The men in suits were all martial artists. Chen Ling could see the shape of the muscles under the suits, and their necks had blue veins that would only bulge out after long-term fitness. The back of the suit of the man in the suit was slightly raised, that was the shape of a gun. And there were 5 mercenaries in camouflage on the island, holding submachine guns, staring at the man in the black suit. The atmosphere was quite tense. It seemed that the guests of the transport boat were not welcome by the owner of the island. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 681. One of the 5 mercenaries, a man who looked like a leader, quickly walked to the gangway with a gun in hand and greeted Chen Ling and the 2 guard women. After the wheelchair came ashore, the gangway retracted. The cruise ship behind him blew its whistle, split the sea surface, and left. "Is everything going well?" the man asked in English. Everything went well, Chen Ling heard the woman with a high-pitched voice say, and then she raised her chin towards the traffic boat over there and asked, "What, does the master have any guests today?" "Yes. But it was an unscheduled visit." The owner lost his temper because of the unexpected visit. The mercenary deliberately raised his voice, obviously speaking to the people in black suits over there. "Huh." Being able to go directly to the island to see Angel without any arrangements, Chen Ling was very curious about the identity of this visitor. What's more, Chen Ling was slumped in the wheelchair at the moment, her right wrist was exposed to the sun, and the handcuffs on her wrist were shining and very conspicuous under the sunlight. But the person pushing the wheelchair and the mercenaries had no intention of covering up for Chen Ling. They are not worried about being seen by people in black suits. In other words, the visitors are on the same side as them. Most likely the visitor was also a Mason. And the level is very high. It's just that the relationship between the island owner and this visitor is not very good. "Master is in a bad mood," the woman with the rough voice repeated, and the mercenary nodded. She said regretfully, "The toys delivered today will probably be damaged by playing with them." "What a pity." In his words, he expressed strong regret. She was still waiting in line to enjoy Chen Ling. "Send it up quickly. It's best to let him know that the master still has something to deal with. If you are wise, leave immediately and don't disturb our master's precious rest time," the mercenary said. "I still have to watch." "These guys do it?" The thin-voiced woman shrugged as a farewell. So, they pushed Chen Ling's wheelchair along the winding stone road to the top of the mountain. The stone road was uneven, and Chen Ling's body in the wheelchair was constantly bumping. The fisherman's hat on Chen Ling's head, due to the bumps and gravity, caused the brim of the hat to fall down and cover his sunglasses after another bump, blocking Chen Ling's vision. This time, Chen Ling couldn't see anything. Counting the time, the drug should wear off, then wake up. Well. Chen Ling let out a low groan and moved once or twice. Then she sat upright and screamed, "Help!" The handcuffs swayed on the wheelchair, making a loud metallic friction sound that frightened the birds parked on the branches. She shouted in Mandarin. While shouting, her body shook violently in the wheelchair, successfully throwing off her hat and sunglasses. The dazzling sunlight shone on her face. Chen Ling stared and looked around in panic. She took the opportunity to imprint all the surrounding scenery in her mind. The wheelchair was forced to a stop. Chen Ling tried to stand up, but failed. A woman pressed Chen Ling's shoulders with great force, forcing Chen Ling to sit in the wheelchair. The woman bent down, with the tip of her nose almost touching Chen Ling's nose, and said to Chen Ling in standard Mandarin, "Be honest, little girl, you can't escape anymore." Chen Ling recognized this voice. It was the woman with the rough voice who grabbed her breasts. She is a tall and strong middle-aged woman with thick shoulders and round waist. She has a standard F Chinese appearance, a splint head, a very dark face, short thick eyebrows, and small and fierce black eyes. Her eyebrows and beard are very lush. At first glance, I know it is the type with excessive androgen secretion. Chen Ling screamed, "Where are you here? Where are you going to send me? What are you going to do to me? Be quiet, I don't want to be rough with you dash." The woman with the thin voice next to her, her cheeks were sunken, her eyes were bulging, her teeth and eyes were very yellow, and her hair was very short. She took out a pistol from somewhere and loaded it in front of Chen Ling. "Be quiet. Otherwise, I will kill you," said the woman with a high-pitched voice. "No, no, don't hurt me." Chen Ling was so frightened that her face turned pale, her eyes filled with tears, and she begged bitterly, "Please, let me go, do you want money? No matter how much, I can give it to you. My family is very rich.